Okay, today we're going to learn about portraits, and I'm going to teach you how to draw a realistic portrait. Right here we have Smiley Face Guy, and he's going to help us later on learning what not to do while we learn to draw our portrait. So the first thing we're going to start with is our head. And Smiley Face Guy here has a nice round head, and that's not what normal portraits look like. Most people, see this picture of myself, have a nice oval head. And I'm drawing on top of this with a dry erase marker so you can see better. And so I like you to draw a nice oval head. And the way I like to draw an oval head is to get my hand started in a nice motion. And when I'm ready, I can put my pencil down and draw a nice oval. Now, if I don't like the oval I drew, if it's too lopsided, I can then go back in and fix it up before I erase the line that I don't like or the lines that I do like. And typically heads are a little bit more narrow by the chin. And they get a little bit wider towards the top. So you start out with an oval first. Then we're going to work on our neck. The neck, if you look at this picture, neck lines up with the corners of the eyes and towards the jawbone here. On Smiley Face Guy, this neck is drawn way too thin. It's like a bobblehead neck. So we want to make sure we have a nice thick neck. Not that they're wide because it's too big, but because it fits the proportions of the head. So we have a nice wide neck here that comes out kind of on the jawbone of the head. So the next thing we're going to do is the shoulders, and your shoulders are 3 heads wide. I could fit one head from here on this shoulder and another size head on that shoulder. Whereas Smiley Face Guy, these shoulders are kind of bunched in and too little right here. They're gonna not support his neck. So on our drawing, we're gonna make sure our shoulders go right off the page because we can't squeeze them on or we'll look like Smiley Face Guy. We have to have nice wide shoulders that fit the page. Then we can go ahead and draw in a collar of a shirt. In this case, it's like a round t-shirt. And that's our basic head, neck, and shoulders. From there, we're gonna start with the eyes. So if you draw a line straight across, it's going to be very light, straight across the middle of the head, like that. You can measure from the middle to the chin and from the middle to the top of the head. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on my example. If there's a line right in the middle of that oval from here to here, that's where about the eyes are going to go, okay? Somewhere touching that line. And our eyes are oval like that. Now, Smiley Face Guy has round eyes, which are not like realistic eyes, and they're also too high up. If I were to draw those eyes like Smiley Face Guy in this picture, they would be up on my forehead. So we need to make sure that the eyes are on that line, either touching it or going overlapping it, and nice lemon shaped or football shaped eyes. Eyes are normally about 1 eye width apart, and they're nice and wide so we can have room to add in the other components of the eyes. And sometimes you can even fit about 1 eye on either side of the head across from the eyes. We're going to go more into detail with the eyes in just a minute. Then we're going to start with the nose. We're going to add the nose here. The nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin. Now, Smiley Face Guy has a L-shaped nose, which some of you might be drawing when you draw a smiley face person at home. And an L-shaped nose ends up being like a sideways version of a nose, a profile picture of a nose. If that was my L-shaped nose, then the mouth should be shown from the side view, and we have the chin, and we have the eye up here looking that direction. So we can't have an L-shaped nose, sideways nose. We're just gonna draw a very simple nose, and that nose is gonna be like a smiley face. What do I mean by a smiley face nose? If we draw just a simple nostril, not too big, otherwise it's going to look like a pig's nose, and a bump like a smiley face, and another nostril, that's about all you need for the nose. If I do much more than that, here's my nostril, a bump, and a nostril. I could maybe make a little curl. If I do more than that, it's going to end up looking like a puppet. If I connect this line here, it's going to look a little bit too big and a little bit too crazy. So I'm not going to connect that line up there. I'm just going to make a simple, maybe lines by the bridge of the nose between the eyes. And then when I go over here to draw it, halfway between the eyes and the chin, I'm just going to draw that simple smiley face. The nostrils are as wide as the inside of the eyes, maybe a little curl on the side, and maybe just a little bit by the bridge of the nose on the inside edge of the eye. And that's all we're going to draw for the nose. For the mouth, we have to make sure we're looking at all the parts of the mouth. So if I look at smiley face guy, the problem with smiley face guy is his mouth is closed. He has no lips. He can't whistle. He can't drink out of a straw. He can't open his mouth. So our mouth has 4 different parts, and it's nice and wide. The corners of my mouth here line up with the middle of my eyes. So if I draw little lines from the center of my eyes down, that's how wide my mouth should be. And it is halfway between my nose and my chin. So we're looking at this target area. When I draw my lips, I'm going to draw the top lip, the top of the top lip from line to line, and the bottom of the bottom lip from line to line. And they kind of come to a point like that. Then I'm going to draw the bottom of the top lip and the top of the bottom lip. And the bottom lip is generally a little bit wider than the top lip, but not always. All right, and that's going to have my mouth looking open. Smiley face guy, again, can't talk, can't whistle, can't drink out of a straw. He needs extra lips. So now you're probably thinking, well, what if my mouth isn't open? Well, then you only have one line that goes across. For the teeth, if we're going to draw funny looking teeth, many people will draw a mouth that has an open mouth like this, and then they'll draw teeth that look like this, straight across. Now, if I look at my picture here, and if you look at any pictures of yourself smiling, showing your teeth, and you count the teeth, you actually count a lot fewer than you think you see. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe showing on the top, and maybe peeking out on the bottom 4. The middle teeth are a lot bigger than the side teeth, and it actually kind of fills most of the space. So if you are going to draw teeth, you want to make sure that you draw, it's going to look a little funny at first, bigger teeth than you think, and maybe squeeze in bottom teeth. The rest of this would all kind of be the dark area behind them, okay? And you can adjust the shape of your teeth based on your picture, but you only draw a few of them because that's all you really see when you open your mouth. Ears line up with the tops of the eyes and the bottom of the nose. They're actually a lot bigger than you think. If I look at smiley face guy here, we have tiny little ears. Okay, those are going to be too small. I also see people sometimes drawing ears way too big. It's like a side view. Again, a side view of an ear that would go on the side of the head way over here, showing that you can look in the ear. We want to make sure that we're drawing the ears facing forward. And in this picture, you can see just a very little bit of the ear showing. All right. So when we go over here, tops of the eyes to the bottom of the nose, that's how large your ears should be. And you really only have to just draw a little bit poking out. Maybe if you see some of the details inside, you could draw them, but we don't want to get too extreme with our ears. All right, back to, I'm going to go the head here first, the hairline. Now, if you notice that we have this huge forehead between your eyes and the top of the head, that's where the hairline is going to go. And everybody's hair comes down and touches their ears down to about here. So we got to make sure that we have hair coming down, touching the ears, and then kind of comes onto our forehead. So if you have hair, if you don't have many bangs coming forward down, you would draw your hairline going around here. This is the top of your forehead. This is the top of your head. Now in this picture, my hair is pulled back into a ponytail. So you want to think about how do you comb your hair. If you comb your hair back, like this one is going into a ponytail, that would be the direction that you would draw your hair. If you wear your hair forward, maybe you have bangs that come down, maybe you have hair that kind of falls in front of your ears. Make sure it touches your shoulders if you have long hair, behind your neck and over your ears. Or if you have really short hair, like a buzz cut, for buzz cut hair, you might just do lots of little dots in here to show that texture. You might have longer hair kind of swooping down like this. I'm going to do long hair on one side, short little hair on the other. Maybe you have little hair that's spiky and it doesn't really go much over the top of your head. Unlike smiley face guy here where it comes out the top, you don't see my hair and most people's hair coming out the top of your head. It comes down onto your forehead a little bit. And then maybe if you have wild spiky hair coming off, you could have some going over that line. Okay, so you want to draw your hair in the shape that you have it. Before we get to the eyes, let's talk about the eyebrows. Most people have eyebrows that come right here above their eyes. There's a brow bone there. And the eyebrows typically are really tiny little hairs. And again, I'm just making a little texture here. Sometimes they arch down, sometimes they're a little bit thicker towards the nose and thinner as they go further away. So it's just tiny little hair strokes here. You don't want to make them too thick or too aggressive. It might compete with your hair, but look at your eyebrows. Maybe you have thicker eyebrows or darker ones, and fill them in as the shape looks. Okay, now let's talk about the eyes and make it finalized here. The eyes have multiple parts. So I have an eye picture here to help us describe how to draw the eyes. All right. And the eyes have multiple parts to make them look realistic. Smiley face guy, here's an eye picture. Smiley face guy just has wide open eyes. If you got in a staring contest with him, he would win. There's no eyelids, no multiple parts of his eye. He's just staring kind of blankly at you. So we're going to look at the parts of an eye. We have the football shape of the eye here. Then we have an eyelid that kind of cuts some of the football shape off. And if we want to make it look like our eyes are open, we have the eyelid towards the top of the eye. If we want to make it look like we're sleepy, our eyelid starts to come down further on the eye. And if we want to make it look like our eyes are shut, our eyelids cover our eye right down here. Okay? So your eyelid, depending upon where it is on the eye, shows how open the eye is. So from corner to corner, we're going to draw a little eyelid. Then the inside of the eye has a couple multiple parts here. The first part is a circle, and inside of the circle is the colored part of the eye. And that touches the eyelid, and in this case, it doesn't touch the bottom, but most of the time I like to draw the eye, the outside colored part, which is called the iris. The iris is the colored part of the eye. I like to draw it touching the top and bottom. Then we have this black spot, which most of you know that name. The black spot is called the pupil. That's where the light comes into the eye. And that's the filled in black part of the eye. So we have a pupil here, and we can fill it in. A circle, we wouldn't see it there. I'm going to draw a circle right here and then stop for the pupil. The reason I'm stopping is cutting into the pupil, we have this circle too. So this is an important circle. It's a little white spot. And that white spot is actually the reflection of the lights from around you showing in the glistening part of your eye. Your eye has a little bit of moisture to it to keep it working and functioning so you don't get dry eyes, it's not itchy. And that moisture reflects the light. So many times artists will leave a white spot inside the iris and inside of the pupil that they don't fill in to show that that eye is glistening and it looks a little bit more realistic. So in my drawing here, I would shade in the iris gray, or if you have colored pencil, you could do a colored like green eyes, brown eyes, hazel eyes, blue eyes, whatever color your eyes are. I would shade in the pupils really black, allowing the light to come in. Now your pupils are going to be smaller if it's bright outside and bigger if it's dark, depending upon how much light they need to get inside. And then keeping that white spot white will make it look more realistic. And these over here, I just kind of color in a half moon shape to save that white spot from going away. So that's a more realistic looking eye. Let's talk one last thing about eyelashes. Now, I said this is smiley face guy, and now if I add these, some people are like, oh, now it's a girl because it has eyelashes. Well, everybody has eyelashes, both boys and girls. So it does not matter if you put eyelashes on it. It doesn't make it more boy or more girl. I can't tell if this is a boy or a girl's eye just by looking at it. And the eyelashes, we got to be careful we don't make them too aggressive. They're just kind of really light. In some cases, you can only see a thick edge, and that's the only part of your eyelashes you could see. And this one we can kind of see a little bit more because it's zoomed in. But if you're going to add eyelashes, and again, both boys and girls have eyelashes, you could have just like a thicker line here to show that there's a little bit of a thick fuzziness to them, and maybe a little bit on the corners. You don't want to be too aggressive. If I start drawing them huge, it's going to make it look like there's a spider on top of my eyes. So we don't want to make a huge, aggressive, large eyelash. Just a nice light one to show some of the edges of the eye. So those are the basic parts of drawing a portrait. One thing that you need to remember though, an accessory that not many people have all the time, but if you wear sunglasses or regular glasses, if you look at wearing glasses, you need to look in a mirror to see where those glasses fall. Sometimes we'll have glasses on a smiley face guy here, just be 2 little circles around like that. And then you're thinking, well, how do I make the hook that goes over the ear? Well, you only see that hook part here that goes over the ear if you're turning sideways, again, a sideways profile view. And glasses normally don't go completely around the eye like that. Most people will wear naturally their glasses when you look straight on, and they cut off part of the eye, even though they can see through them. Visually, it goes through them like that, and their frames actually touch the tops of their cheeks. Okay, so you're gonna have to look at your frame shape. Maybe you have rectangle frames or circle frames. Maybe you have big round frames, but the frames actually take up a lot more of your face than you think. The bridge over the nose, and then that hook part ends up just kind of being a thick line. You don't see it behind the ear. So if you wear glasses, or if you wear sunglasses, if this is going to be sunglasses, we can fill them in. Make sure you draw them nice and large to cover your eyes. Again, most of the time they'll cut off part of your eyes. Look at yourself in a mirror and you'll see what I'm talking about. And the frames come down onto the cheek, nice and large, depending upon the frame shape. You draw that in over the bridge of the nose, and just little thicknesses to go back behind the ear, and then you add in the frame as thick as it is, or whatever colors you have. So if you're wearing glasses, make sure you pay attention there on how to add those. The other fun parts you can add are earrings or necklaces or a hat and go from there. But that's the basic how to draw a portrait.